Let's study 9th standard ICSE Physics 3E Numericals. Now question 1. The force of attraction is 10 Newton. What will be the force of attraction if the separation is reduced to half? Well, we know that the force of gravitational attraction is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two objects. That means if the distance reduces, the force will increase. But since there is a square involved, this means that if the distance is halved, the force will be quadrupled. So the new force is 4 times the original force, which is 40 Newton. Now in question 3, calculate the weight of a body and mass is given. First, when they want the mass, the weight in kgf, that's the same as the mass, so the weight will become 10 kgf. But if they want the answer in SI unit Newton, then we have to use a formula. The formula is weight is equal to m into g, and on earth the value of g is 9.8 or sometimes 10. It will be given in the question. If not given, then you can take either value. So that way the weight comes out to be 98 Newton. Now the sixth sum. The weight of a body on earth is 98 Newton and the acceleration due to gravity is also given. So what is the mass? Well, again the same formula. Weight is mg, weight is known, g is known, so we can find mass. Next they've asked the weight on moon. Well, weight, again the formula is m into g, but now g's value on moon will be different. By the way, it's around 1/6 of g's value on earth. The value is given, so the weight is 16 Newton. So if you want to lose weight, go to the moon. Ninth one. A ball is released from a height and it reaches the ground in 3 seconds. So this is a downward motion, isn't it? Find the height and the velocity. Now these sums are like the questions in exercise 2C. So same 3 kinematic equations can be used here. Always write the data first, that makes it easy to solve. When we are releasing the ball, u is always 0, isn't it? Initial velocity is 0. Here the time is given and the height is asked, which is nothing but s. Also the final velocity is asked, which is v. And acceleration is given as 9.8. So time is given as 3 seconds, time is given, acceleration is given, u is given. Using the kinematic equations, you can get s and v. But here I'm going to use a variation of the equation. Instead of s, I'm going to use h, and instead of a, I'm going to use g. If you don't use these new variables, if you use s and a, it's okay, it's perfectly fine. What matters is that you write the final statement properly. That is, the height is 44.1 meters and the final velocity is 29.4 meters per second. Otherwise, we are using the same formulae. Another thing to keep in mind is when you have a downward journey, the value of a is 9.8. But if a ball is thrown upward journey, then the value of a becomes minus 9.8. Or what you can do is, while writing the formula, you can write v square is equal to u square minus 2gh instead of plus 2gh whenever there is upward journey. If you don't want to change the signs and the variables, you just want to stick to the original format of equation like in 2C, it's okay, it's perfectly fine. So now in the 11th sum, a ball is thrown vertically upwards, it goes to a height of 20 meters and then returns to the ground. So there is upward journey and downward journey both. What is the initial velocity of the ball? So whenever I throw a ball, initially it has some velocity which starts decreasing and the final velocity is 0. So in upward journey, final velocity is 0. In downward journey, the initial velocity is 0. Keep that in mind. So here v is equal to 0. Also, since it is coming back, I can say that the initial velocity out here will be the same as the final velocity out here. If you threw it at 20 meters per second, then it will come back and reach your hand again at exactly 20 meters per second because the height is same. So first of all, in order to find the initial velocity, we are going to use this formula. V is given as 0 because it's upward journey. U we have to find. G's value we have taken it as negative. And height is given as 20 meters. So the initial velocity is 20 meters per second. Now let's talk about downward journey. Well, as I said, for downward journey, the final velocity is equal to the initial velocity during the upward journey. So that will also be 20 meters per second. Now let's find the time for downward journey. V is equal to u plus gt. You can even write at plus y because there's a downward journey. It's a good practice to mention upward journey or downward journey so there's no confusion about whether you should take positive value of g or negative value of g. So by substituting, we get the value of time as 2 seconds. But they want the total time of the journey, that is upward journey and downward journey. Obviously, it will be 2 seconds each. So the total time is 4 seconds. Now in the 13th sum, a ball is thrown vertically upwards and it returns 6 seconds later. That is, total time is given. So how much time will it take only for the upward journey or only for the downward journey? 3 seconds each. That's right. Find the greatest height. Well, always write the data first. So let's start with upward journey. The final velocity is always 0 in upward journey. Time was 3 seconds only for the upward journey. So let's find the initial velocity using this formula. I've used a negative sign here because it is retardation here. Upward journey is retardation. So I got the initial velocity as 30 meters per second. So I've done Roman number 2 first. And now Roman number 1, they want the total height which it travels. That is S, which I've written as H. That's the same thing. Formula I've used is ut minus half gt square minus y because again it's upward journey, right? You can also use the formula of v square is equal to u square minus 2gh. Even that is fine because we have all the values. We have u, v, we have g and h we have to find. But I chose to use this, substitute the values, get the answer. Now the 15th sum. How long will a stone take to fall to the ground from the top of a building 80 meters high? So it's a downward journey sum. They've asked for the time. In downward journey, if you remember, initial velocity is always 0. Height is given as 80 meters, that is the distance. So the formula we'll use is this. Ut is 0, of course. G's value is given, and it's positive because it's downward journey. T is something we'll have to find, which comes out to be 4 seconds. Next, they've asked what is the final velocity with which the stone reaches the ground. So the formula for that is V is equal to U plus GT. That comes up to 40 meters per second. Next, in the 17th sum, a ball is thrown vertically upwards with an initial velocity of 49 meters per second. So U is given. Calculate the maximum height attained. And also the time taken by it before it reaches the ground again. That means they want the total time of upward plus downward combined. Well, upward journey, U is given. Final velocity is 0, of course. So using this formula, first calculate the value of H, which comes up to 122.5 meters. Make sure you write final statements after every sum, which I'm not writing, but you have to. Next, again for upward journey, find the time using this formula. But remember, they've asked for the total time, not just upward journey time. So total time is 5 plus 5, 10 seconds. Now in the 19th sum, a pebble is dropped freely in a well from its top, and it takes 20 seconds for the pebble to reach the water surface. Find the depth of the water surface. Now this is interesting. You can actually practically do this. All you need is a stopwatch, that is a mobile phone would do, and a pebble. And you can calculate the depth of a well simply because we know the speed of sound in air is roughly 330 meters per second. See how it works. First of all, this is the surface of the well. And suppose you threw the stone from here. And you calculated how much time does it take for it to reach the water surface. Well, we know initial velocity is 0 meters per second. It's a downward journey. So positive formula. Time is 20 seconds. So we get the distance as 2000 meters, which is the height. But the next question is, how much time will it take before the echo is heard by you? The stone took 20 seconds, but as soon as it hits the water surface, you won't be able to hear it immediately because sound travels slowly compared to light. So the formula is simple. Speed is equal to distance upon time, or distance is equal to speed into time. Distance or displacement is equal to velocity into time. It's a uniform uniform motion. Speed of sound is constant, not accelerating. So we can use this formula. The total distance we calculated as 2000 meters. Velocity of sound in air is 330 meters per second. So we can find the time for the sound to reach our ears. It will take 6.1 seconds. So the total time is 26.1 seconds. From the moment you release the stone, how much time will it take for you to hear the sound? Well, 20 seconds for the stone to reach the water surface and 6 seconds for you to hear the sound. So totally it will take you 26.1 seconds. Conversely, if you know how much time you heard the sound after, you can calculate how deep the well's water surface is. By the way, this is impractical. 2000 meters is like 2 kilometers. No well is 2 kilometers deep. And the final sum, well, mark the 13th, 19th and 20th sum as IMP. Now in this final sum, a ball is thrown vertically upwards from the top of a tower with an initial velocity of 19.6 meters per second, and the ball reaches the ground after 5 seconds. Calculate the height of the tower. So what is unique about this sum is that the upward journey and downward journey are not equal. The total time is given as 5 seconds, but time 1 and time 2 are unknown, and obviously they will be different. But I know that t1 plus t2 is 5 seconds. Drawing this diagram and writing all the data here will make this sum very easy. It is given that initial velocity u1 is 19.6, final velocity we don't know for the upward journey. And for downward journey, we know the initial velocity is always 0, but again the final velocity we don't know. The distance traveled here, s1, unknown, and the distance traveled here, s2 is unknown. And finally what is asked is, what is the height of the tower, which will be actually s2 minus s1, isn't it? s2 minus s1 will give me the height of the tower. So now I know what I need to do in this sum. I just need to find s1 and s2. And then think about what formula can be used to find s1 and s2. You will realize that you will also require other values like t. So here, let's first calculate the value of time. V1 is equal to u1 minus gt1. It's upward journey, right? So retardation. So I get this time 1 is 2 seconds. Now if the upward journey time was 2 seconds, then obviously the downward journey will take 3 seconds because the total time was given as 5 seconds. Now using these values, we can calculate S1. So it reached a height of 19.6 meters above the tower. Now let's talk about the downward journey. In the downward journey, again I found the time, and I will find the displacement as 44.1 meters using the formula. It's downward journey, so it's positive. It's acceleration, not retardation. I could have found the displacement here with another formula like v square is equal to u square plus 2as. But still time is required to be found out here so that I can calculate the time for the downward journey, because for the downward journey displacement can be found only by this formula, because here the final velocity is unknown. So once I get S1 and S2, then I can find the height of the tower, and then I can find the final velocity here. Here the final velocity won't be same as initial velocity. No, that's not true for this sum, because here the distance traveled is not the same. So here the final velocity formula is given as this, positive of course, it's 29.4 meters per second. Hi students, this is AJ sir. If you like this video, press the like button. If you would like to enroll for my online test series or online lectures, email me or message me on Instagram. Check the description for more information.